Oh God, I can still feel the cold metal of that locket against my skin, the one I clutched so tightly that night, as if it could anchor me to a world that wasn't crumbling. It was raining outside, the kind of downpour that turns streets into rivers and hearts into wreckage. I was 60 years old, sitting alone in my dim living room, the clock ticking like a countdown to some inevitable end. My hands trembled as I opened the letter, the one that had arrived that morning, unsigned, but I knew who sent it. The words blurred through my tears. The truth you've buried will rise. She's coming for you. My life, all those years of secrets and betrayals, flashed before me like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. How did it come to this? Let me tell you, from the beginning, because if I don't speak now, the silence will swallow me whole. I was born Serena Thompson in a small town in upstate New York, back in 1965. Life was simple then, or so it seemed. My parents ran a modest bakery, fresh bread in the mornings, the scent of cinnamon clinging to everything. But beneath that warmth was a shadow. My sister, Elena. She was 2 years older, with fiery red hair and eyes that could pierce right through you. From the moment I could walk, Elena saw me as competition. Why does everyone love you more? She'd hiss when no one was listening. Our parents tried to keep the peace, but Elena's jealousy festered like an untreated wound. I remember one childhood incident vividly, as if it were yesterday. I was 8, playing in the backyard with my dolls under the old oak tree. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the grass. Elena approached, her face twisted in that familiar scowl. "Give me that," she demanded, snatching my favorite doll, the one with the porcelain face that Dad had bought for my birthday. "It's mine now," I cried out, but she just laughed and smashed it against the tree trunk. Shards flew everywhere, glinting like broken promises. "Oops," she said, her voice dripping with mock innocence. That was Elena always taking, always breaking. Little did I know, that doll was just the first of many things she'd shatter in my life. As I grew into my teens, I blossomed. Young Serena, they called me, tall with wavy brown hair and a smile that lit up rooms. I excelled in school, dreamed of becoming a writer, escaping our stifling town. Elena, meanwhile, struggled. She dropped out at 16, fell in with a rough crowd. Our parents worried, but I tried to help. "Come study with me," I'd plead, sitting at the kitchen table with my books spread out. "We can do this together." She'd sneer. "Why?" "So I can be your shadow forever." Her words stung, but I pushed on, hoping love could bridge the gap. It was in my early 20s that love found me, or so I thought. I met Daniel Williams at a local fair. He was 25, handsome with kind blue eyes and a laugh that made my heart skip. He worked as a mechanic, hands always stained with grease, but his touch was gentle. "You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen," he said that first night, as we danced under string lights, the carnival music swirling around us. We talked for hours about dreams, fears, the stars above. By the end of the summer, we were inseparable. "Marry me, Serena," he proposed on a crisp autumn evening, down on one knee by the lake where we'd shared our first kiss. The water lapped softly at the shore, fireflies dancing like tiny lanterns. I said yes, tears streaming down my face. We wed in a small church, Elena as my maid of honor begrudgingly. "Don't mess this up," she whispered during the ceremony. Her smile forced. I brushed it off as sisterly teasing. Our early marriage was bliss. Daniel and I moved into a cozy house on Elm Street, with a white picket fence and a garden I tended with care. He built me a writing desk by the window, where I'd sit for hours, typing stories on my old typewriter. The clack-clack echoed through our home, a soundtrack to our happiness. But cracks appeared slowly. Daniel's friend Richard Hale entered our lives. Richard was charming, dangerously so tall, dark-haired, with a scar across his cheek from some mysterious past. He claimed to be an old-school buddy, but his eyes lingered on me too long. "Daniel's lucky," he'd say, winking. Daniel laughed it off, but I felt uneasy. Richard was involved in shady deals, whispers of gambling debts. One night, over dinner at our house, the candlelight flickering across the table, Richard leaned in. "If you ever need anything, Serena, I'm here." His voice was low, intimate. I excused myself, heart pounding. Then came the trauma that shattered my world. It was 1990. I was 25. Daniel and I were driving home from a party, the roads slick with rain. Richard was in the back seat, drunk and rowdy. "Slow down, Dan," I begged, gripping the dashboard as the car hydroplaned. but it was too late. We crashed into a tree, impact like thunder, metal screeching, glass exploding. I woke in the hospital, bandages wrapped around my head, pain shooting through my body. Daniel was beside me, bruised but alive. Richard, miraculously unscathed. But the doctor pulled me aside later. "Mrs. Williams, I'm sorry. The accident caused internal injuries. You may never have children." The words hit like a freight train. I collapsed, sobbing into Daniel's arms. "We'll get through this," he whispered, but his eyes held a distant grief. Elena's jealousy peaked then. She visited the hospital, her face a mask of concern. "Poor Serena," she cooed, stroking my hair. But later, I overheard her on the phone in the hallway. Finally, something to level the playing field. It chilled me. As I recovered at home, Mrs. Collins, our elderly neighbor with her floral dresses and kind eyes, brought casseroles. "Lean on me, dear," she'd say, sitting on the porch swing with me, the summer breeze rustling the leaves. She became my confidant, sensing the storm brewing. The betrayal unfolded gradually, like a poison seeping in. Daniel started staying out late, claiming work. Richard was always around, helping with repairs. One evening, I came home early from a writing class. The house was dark, save for a light in the bedroom. I crept upstairs, heart thumping. There, in our bed, tangled in sheets, Daniel and Elena, my sister, my husband. The sight burned into my mind. Her red hair splayed across the pillow, his hands on her. I gasped, and they froze. "Serena," Daniel stammered, scrambling up. Elena smirked. "Took you long enough to figure it out." I fled, tears blinding me, running to Mrs. Collins' house. She held me as I broke down on her doorstep, the rain mixing with my sobs. But that wasn't the hidden secret. No, mine was darker. In the aftermath, devastated and alone, I sought solace in the wrong places. Richard Hale, sensing my vulnerability, pulled me in. "I'll protect you," he promised one night at a dingy bar, the neon lights buzzing overhead. We had a brief, reckless affair fueled by anger and despair. But Richard was dangerous. He was involved in a criminal ring, smuggling goods. One night, in his apartment, shadows dancing from the streetlights outside, he confessed, "I need your help, Serena. Just hide this package." It was drugs, heroin. Terrified, I refused at first, but he threatened to expose everything to Daniel, so I did it, buried it in our garden, under the roses. That secret haunted me for years, a ticking bomb. Life spiraled. Daniel begged forgiveness, swearing. Elena manipulated him. "She's always hated you," he said, on his knees in our living room, the fireplace crackling. I forgave him, foolishly, hoping to salvage our marriage, but Elena vanished, cutting ties. I threw myself into writing, publishing anonymous stories about betrayal that became underground hits. Yet, the guilt ate at me. Nightmares plagued me. The crash, the affair, the buried package. Entered Dr. Aaron Blake, the psychiatrist. I started seeing him in my 30s, referred by a friend. His office was serene, soft lighting, leather chairs, the faint scent of lavender. "Tell me about the accident," he'd prompt, his voice calm, eyes empathetic. Session after session, I unraveled. "I feel like I'm drowning in secrets," I confessed one day, twisting a tissue in my hands. He nodded. "Secrets have a way of resurfacing." Little did I know how prophetic that was. Around this time, I met Nora, young woman in her 20s, volunteering at the local library, where I read my stories. She had my eyes, my smile. "You remind me of someone," I told her once, as we shelved books under the fluorescent lights. Nora became like a daughter, filling the void, but suspense built. Strange calls at night. Hang-ups. Mrs. Collins noticed shadows lurking near our house. "Be careful, Serena," she warned, peering through her curtains. The mid-story twist hit like a lightning bolt. It was 2005, I was 40. Detective Marcus Reed knocked on my door one evening, badge glinting under the porch light. "Mrs. Williams, we need to talk about Richard Hale." My blood ran cold. Richard had been arrested for murder-killing a rival in his crime ring, and the package, dug up during a raid. But the twist, fingerprints on it, weren't just mine. Elena's were there too. "She set you up," Reed explained in our kitchen, coffee steaming between us. "Your sister tipped us off anonymously." "Why?" "Jealousy, revenge. She'd been the one pulling strings with Richard all along, orchestrating the affair to destroy me." Confrontation was inevitable. I tracked Elena down to a run-down apartment in the city. The building reeked of stale smoke, stairs creaking under my feet. I pounded on her door. "Open up." she did, looking haggard, older than her years. What do you want? She snarled. We faced off in her cluttered living room, photos of our childhood scattered like accusations. Why, Elena? Why betray me? I demanded, voice breaking. She laughed bitterly. You had everything, love, talent, attention. I took what I could, but then, tears. I didn't mean for it to go this far. We screamed, cried, relived every hurt. Daniel arrived, summoned by me for closure. This ends now, he said, standing between us. Elena confessed everything, the jealousy from childhood, seducing Daniel, allying with Richard. It was cathartic, but heartbreaking. Healing began slowly. With Dr. Blake's help, I processed the trauma. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you, he said in a session. Sunlight streaming through the window. I divorced Daniel amicably but firmly, moved to a quiet cottage by the sea, waves crashing like therapy. Mrs. Collins visited often, her stories a balm. Nora, she became family, helping me write my memoir. But the shocking final truth, oh, it undid me. In 2025, at 60, that letter arrived. She's coming for you. I dug deeper, with Detective Reed's help now, retired, but loyal. We uncovered Anna Davis. Who was she? My daughter. From the affair with Richard. I'd been pregnant after all, despite the doctor's words. Terrified, I'd given her up for adoption in secret. Burying the truth even from myself through denial and Dr. Blake's hypnosis sessions. Anna was Nora, the girl from the library. She'd found out, sent the letter, the confrontation. She showed up at my door, rain pouring, looking just like young Serena, Mom. She whispered. I collapsed into her arms, sobs racking us both. I didn't know. I could single quotes the truth. Elena had known all along, used it to manipulate Richard, but never told me. The ultimate betrayal. Now, as I sit here, locket in hand, Anna's baby photo inside, I realize life is a tapestry of secrets, woven with pain and redemption. I've lived through the storm, emerged scarred but whole. If you're listening, remember, betrayal cuts deep, but truth, no matter how shocking, sets you free. Thank you for hearing my story.